guys, and welcome back to Project Z Garage. My name is Ansar, and today we're going to be working on the Audi Q3. This is a 2015 Audi Q3 Quattro 2.0 liter motor. When this was first bought, it did not have a reverse camera, so my girlfriend at the time, when she was making the deal, she told them that she wanted the reverse camera installed. She thought she was getting an OEM camera solution. A couple months later, she didn't realize until much later that it was actually an aftermarket solution. When it started causing issues, it wasn't showing properly. It was all over the place. It ended up being that they drilled a hole in the trunk to run the wire for a cube, one of those aftermarket cube cameras. Didn't paint the edges they screwed in, started to rust. It was just a really bad look. So after a while, I made the mistake of trying to buy another solution. It worked for a little bit, and that started crapping out too. So let's move forward to a week ago, a couple days ago, about a week ago. I reached out to Emerald Mobile Integrations, and we just got the box today. Here we go, that's the box, nice packaging. And let's open it up, see what came. I told them the problem I was having, and they sent us out a new, they actually packed this really nice with a bunch of peanuts so that this stuff doesn't get damaged. As you can see, it's Emerald Mobile Integrations, and what it comes when you open the box is this really thick booklet with the install instructions here, but it has color pictures and everything, which is always helpful. And here is what came in the box. There's a little remote control. I'm not sure what that's for, but we'll go into that. Here's the actual unit that will be letting us connect the aftermarket reverse camera to the stock radio and navigation screen. And we have a whole bunch of wiring looms here that I guess we are going to have to wire up. Now this looks like this has the power, the CAN high and low. I think it also has this is probably where you can also, because there's two different ways of installing this. One is using the trigger from the reverse lights to trigger this to turn on, or you could use the cam high and low in the system, which is a little bit more difficult because now you gotta go look for wires. Each car is different, so it could be a little more frustrating trying to get that to work. So we might do the easier install just because I think that'll be more universal for people to use. And it comes with a whole bunch of RCAs. So not only do you can install a reverse camera, you can also install what it looks like is maybe a DVD player. They have a bunch of AV outs that you can probably do, like a rear entertainment system on these cars if you wanted to. Honestly, I don't think we're going to be doing any of that in this car. We have some, I believe this is the connection to the screen, and this looks like a little IR cable. I guess that's for the remote for the signal. We have a little button here, not sure, that's probably to toggle through the settings if you need to. And then they have this little power ground wire here, which when I was reading the instructions, could go for, you could connect your rear camera, whatever aftermarket rear camera, to this, and the unit will give the power to it. But I don't think we're going to do this type of setup. I'm not sure if this might be for a more for a lower voltage camera. So we're just going to do the standard setup where we have the power and ground coming from the car, and we're going to hook the camera to that, and we're going to power this unit from that. So let's get started. We'll get inside the car. Before we start, you should have definitely a bunch of trim tools, because we're going to be pulling apart the trim in the car to try to get to the wires, the back of the radio. These are a must. You can look up on Amazon or online These are radio tools. They actually slide in, click, so that you could pull the radio out, or the navigation out. I'll show you guys how we do that. You know, back in the day, they were like something like this, for these aftermarket radios, where you slide it in each side. It pushes the clips in so that you could pull it out. So a similar type of setup here, so you don't have screws on the outside, which looks ugly. It makes a cleaner install from the factory. And we have a bunch of plastic tools because we're gonna have to remove trim. Some of the push pins, these are always good. I think I got this kit off of Amazon. It was pretty cheap, maybe like 10-15 bucks. So definitely an investment if you're working on these cars, or any car. It's good to have a good set of trim tools. So let me get you guys set up, and we'll go inside the car and start taking the radio, or the interface, whatever you want to call it, the media part of the radio out, so that we can get to the back of that and start seeing what we have to play with. Alright guys, so the first thing we're going to do is replace the camera on the rear. This is an aftermarket, but it's an OEM fit is what they call it, like I was explaining before. And right where your switch is to open the trunk, it actually takes a portion of that, so it makes this part smaller, but it fits in the same spot. You can get this off of Amazon, or if you look around, I'm sure there's a lot of places that sell these. They're not too expensive. Definitely a lot cheaper than the OEM solution, which has a different type of plug in the back, which you would have to buy the whole system, which gets very expensive. So let's first start with taking apart the interior of the trunk to install the camera first. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to install the camera, run all the wiring to the front of the car, and then we'll do all our connections in the front. First thing, this is a 2015 Audi Q3. You're going to have to take apart these little panels. They just pull out. If you see that, just pull to the side. Pull to the side on this side. And then you'll see these clips here. I know it's a little dark, but we need to get some
visible.
light.
You can see it.
Yeah, so you're gonna need your pry tool to get those out. Also in the middle here, you just turn this, it comes down. There we go. And then I think if you squeeze these together, you might be able to get it out. I don't think you need
to take it off.
Yeah, I don't think you need to take that part off. But you can see there's 2 more clips in here also. All right. Now, when you're pulling this out, you also have to be very careful. You do have a switch panel here, which closes your trunk, locks and closes your trunk. So you got to be careful when you're pulling this out that you don't damage the wire. So you want to keep it close to it and unplug it from the back. And I don't see any clips there, but we'll just move that out of the way, put it to the side. So let's work on getting those clips out, and then what we'll do is we'll start showing you how we pry this out. So this is a pry tool that I have for removing clips. It came in that same kit, and what you want to do is just get under it and just pull it out a little bit. And you should be able to get it out with your hand. And that's the part that you push in. Let's see if we can get the other part out. There we go. And keep these together. You don't want to lose them. Just a little bit in there, and then once you push them all the way in, it expands this back piece here, and that's what holds it in. So just work your way around, get all those out. You know, take your time, because it is all plastic, so you don't want to damage anything. There we go, that one came out good. Some of them are a little hard to get to, but you'll get to it.
And they're all the same, right?
Yeah, these are all the same. Definitely a good idea to get yourself a little container to put them in, because you know how these things like to run away. Alright, so we got 4. I think that's 4 of them there. And I think we're good. Alright guys, so you got to pull this down. It's pretty tight in there after you get those push pins out. if you look over here, it has these tabs right here that pushes in and locks in. So what I do is I put my hand in under here, get a good grip, and work my way around. You don't want to pull in one place to try to take the whole thing off. You want to slowly work your way around. Now it's gonna slide out from under here.
So it's coming straight down.
So it has to come straight down, but there's a little bit of an angle over here. So let me grab this side and you'll see what I'm talking about. So, oh, okay, there you go. But remember, there's the clip there. You gotta press it in. I'll show you once I get it out.
Hold on.
What?
Here, hold the camera. Sideways.
Yeah. There we go. And that comes out. And that's for your switches. So just show Al on the switch, on that piece here, how you take it out. Just a little tab.
So this was actually in sideways. I'm actually pressing on this tab right up here. On that tab right there, you press that in and then you pull it out. It's very soft. It's easy to press, shouldn't be a problem.
All right, now we need to work on getting this out. Now this is the old camera that we had installed before.
That looks like two 10
Yep, they look like two
bolts.
10 millimeter nuts on there. So we're gonna disconnect it there, and we're gonna uninstall this. If your car doesn't come with a camera, you're only gonna have to take out the actual pad that opens the trunk, the latch. You won't have all these wires coming out because, again, you know, we have an aftermarket solution already on here, but we're going to replace it with a new one. So let me get a spanner and we'll start taking that out. All right, so remember, this thing doesn't have to be super tight. As you can see, it's barely any pressure to take this out. And there you go, you get that backing plate off.
Do we have to follow this wire back before we get it out?
Well, hold on a second there, because you also have another tab here for the light on the other side. Let me take my glove off here. We'll take that out. You're probably gonna have to disconnect it over here. Remember, this is not gonna be exactly the same for everyone because we have a reverse camera in its place. When they're doing this, they won't have that reverse camera installed. They'll just be worried about taking off the... Alright guys, so we got the backing plate off that holds the actual pad in, and now we're gonna push it forward to get it out from here. So let's work our way through, and there we go. Awesome. So now you can see we got the pad out. You have your connector for the pad that's gonna have to go into the new one, and pretty much you just got to reverse the steps to get that part in. Now from there, you're gonna have to run your wires to the side here. We're gonna take this panel off next, which is a bunch of clips also that you can see here. There's a clip on each side. Then after you take those clips out, it's just those push pins all the way around, but be very careful because it is plastic. And then what we'll do is we'll run it down to this tube here, which will keep everything kind of, I guess, weatherproof. You're gonna pop it out from the bottom and from here, and then a good idea is to get like a clothes hanger or some stiff wire and to tape it on and run it up one way, tape the wires on, and then pull it back the other way. It'll make life a lot easier. But before we do that, we're gonna work on installing the new camera in the slot, and then we'll show you how we're gonna run the wires for this setup. All right guys, so the new camera that we got to replace it is in now. This design does not have the bolts. I kind of like it with the bolts in the back where it holds it in, but we'll use this one for now, so we don't have to reuse the backing plate that came with the car. So I was just gonna plug that in. and that's it. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna run this wire, which is gonna be your audio wire or your video wire, and we're gonna run it along here. We'll probably tape it up. And what we're gonna do is take the new wiring that came with this, attach it to this piece, and then we're gonna pull it through the whole system. What we're gonna do first though is remove this plastic piece. This stuff is pretty firm in there. I mean, it's tight. It's not gonna be easy to come out, but be careful. Use firm force, but don't break it. Let's get these pieces off. There we go. Put these back together. You know, make sure you get like a little box or something to keep your parts in. And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna start from this side and slowly pull out. I'm gonna do it on both sides and work our way down. And you can see that it's slowly releasing like that. And make sure you don't hit yourself in the face. One comes up. So all right, so this part you're not going to pull straight out, you're actually going to pull up a little bit as you're doing it. That seems to work best. And just be careful because you have your defogger in the back here, so you do not want to scrape that. All right guys, so what we end up having to do is pull these in, both sides into us, and then pull out straight. And then you can see the tabs on the back here, and you can see where they push in here. Sometimes they get stuck in, you're gonna have to pull them out and reattach them to the plastic, so just be careful with it. These are a pain. You're gonna have to use like a long nose pliers to get them out, and then put them back where they belong on the plastic piece so that we can put it back together once we're done. Okay guys, so we're gonna use our two radio removal tools here. These are the little pins that we're gonna be sliding in here. You'll see two spots here that are slits in the front face of the radio that we're gonna slide these into, and you should hear a click. Once it's locked in, you'll realize that you can't really pull them out. It should put the pins that are holding this radio in. So that one's in good. This one's not in. Maybe I put this in wrong. Let's see. Nope. It's got to be this way. Alright, so those are clicked in, and then we can pull this out. Now there's a little tab on each side here. You push them in, and then it will hopefully release these. Again, I'm sure there's better tools out there for this, but let's get it out. There we go. Throw those in, and we will pull this out. There is a connector under here, and there are a couple of these like cam connectors on the back here, which let's try to get it out and I'll show you how they connect. So the first one you'll see is back here. There's a little tab that will feel. Let's see if we can get it on the side, and then you're just gonna have to wiggle it until you get it out. There we go. So that's one. On the side here there's another. This is your, I believe this is the that has the fiber optic light or something like that on this side. The cam one, you're gonna have to, at the bottom, if you pull down a little and then rotate it out, that should pop out. Voila. And then last but not least, you have these. You'll see they're like little pins here. You got a little tabs here. This top one, you got to pull that tab out first, and then that comes out. And this has a little tab you're going to push in while you pull out. There we go. There goes that one. Same thing on this one. Push in while you pull out. Sometimes it helps if you push it in a little bit and then pull out. Voila. And there we go. We have the Audi multimedia, I guess, system here, which we're gonna have to do some connections on the back here. But before we do that, let me show you how this cam one works. So this one here, if you see here, has like a cam lock, and what you have to do is put a little pressure to pull this down, and then you're gonna push it back. And as you push this back, it literally pulls the connector out of the back of the multimedia system of the Audi, and that'll pull that out. And the other one that I was talking about was this one, which I was like some sort of, I think this is like some sort of fiber optic light or fiber optic cable, but it has like a little red light that you can see once everything is connected, and that's what plugs into the left side or right side, depending on how you're looking at it, of the multimedia system here. But just so you can see better, this is where I was telling you that like fiber optic connector is here. Your cam one fits here, and then you have all your other connectors here. I think this is the antenna signal connector on the side there, and a bunch of other stuff here. So we have that out, and that wasn't too bad. The next thing we're gonna do is take apart some of this other stuff. If you're going to be running wires, you might want to take out this lower climate control system here. This is just pressed in, so you're going to have to like reach under here, feel for it, and then try to get like one of your trim removal tools in here and slowly pry it out. I also try to get like some sort of thin L plastics, L-shaped plastics behind here or on top here, and try to get some leverage to pop it out. You will need to put this into let me have you up here so you can see what I'm talking about. You will have to take your shifter and move it all the way back, but make sure you have your wheels chocked and that the handbrake is on, just so the car doesn't roll when you do that. And that'll help you because you need that space to get the climate control out. This is just to make more room so that you can get back there and run your wires, because what we're going to do is we're going to run our power and ground from the 12-volt cigarette lighter here. So when we turn the car on to ACC, this gets power, and that's what we want to power the system and our cameras. So that's what we can use. I mean, you can check your wiring schematics and see if there's another ACC wire that you would want to use, and then you can just ground to any type of body ground, or if you want to use the ground here, this is what I'm going to do. And that's going to be our ground and power for our camera and for the Emerald mobile integration system. And let's work on getting this out just to make us some more room so we can see what's going on. I believe the cam high and low wires are on the back of this. I'm not 100% sure. It may also be here, because I know it's supposed to be a brown and an orange wire, but I'm not sure. That's if you're gonna go do the more advanced install of trying to get it hooked up to the cam high and low. Now, the only difference with the cam high and low, supposedly, I'm not sure if it's going to work for this system, is that if your car is equipped to have the moving lines or the dynamic parking lines, it'll allow it to work so that when you turn your steering wheel, the lines also turn. The way the factory or the dealership set it up, it was just a standard reverse camera. It didn't have lines or anything. You just see the back of the car, which is fine, and it's not a big deal, but if I can get it to work, would be really cool. So I might try to mess around and get that working, but I'll show you guys the basic install. So if you guys wanted to do this to your car, you kind of see what's involved in doing it. And then if I do get it to work, I'll definitely probably throw it in at the end if we're able to get the dynamic lines to work. But right now we're just going to do the straightforward install. We have from the original install, the dealership ran a wire from the reverse lights to the front here, and that's going to be your trigger wire. And we already have the wires ran for the camera. I'm going to show you after this is all set up where we grounded the wire in the back and where they got the pickup from the reverse lights to trigger the system. But I'll show you once we have all that hooked up. So stay tuned. Alright guys, so I got some of the wiring done. This interface has a ton of options for, you know, rear camera setup, rear entertainment setup. You can add other devices to this, so this is definitely overkill for what I want it for, which is just for like a reverse camera. I do see that we can also add a front camera with this system, which would be pretty cool, so we might do that at a later date. But just so you guys understand, the way that I did this was a real simple way. We have a wire going from the reverse camera, which is going to be not reverse camera, we have a wire going from the reverse lights, which is going to be our trigger to tell the system to show the reverse camera. So out of all these wires, all of this we're not using. We're only going to be using these 3 wires right here, which is your trigger wire, which is the gray wire, your ground, and your ACC power. This wire here is the power for my camera in the back, which I just tied in so it's all together as I was running the rest of the wires. And then the cool thing, this has a fuse in line. Hold on, why is this not showing? Okay, here we go. It has a fuse in line in case anything happens. You can troubleshoot from here. And then here's the plug that goes into the actual unit itself. So let's pull this unit out. And then also we have all these RCAs, which, you know, you have AV out, you know, AV1, AV2, reverse camera, all that stuff in here. But we're only going to be using just this one, which is the RCA that we ran from the back to the front here, and this is what's going to give us our video from the rear camera. I just threw a little tape on it just to hold it together when we're putting it back into the dashboard. So that's one side. Let's pull this out. This here is that little IR for the remote control. You're gonna need to use that to set the options on this unit once you're done. I did do a little bit of testing beforehand before I came to this port to show you guys, and I'm like, why is the camera not showing up when I put it into reverse? Everything else is hooked up correctly. You have to go into the system and tell it that you're going to be using lamp, which is your reverse light, to detect the rear view camera or to trigger the rear view camera. So you have to go in there and set it if you're going to set it up this way, which is we're using the rear reverse lights to trigger the reverse camera. If you're using the cam high and low, which is with the system of the car, I tried messing with it a little bit and I just couldn't find the correct wires, so I'm just gonna scrap that for now until I can get some more information, maybe get the wire diagram for this car so that we can kind of maybe come back to this and see if we can get those dynamic lines to work, which is really cool. When you're parking, you turn the steering wheel, it shows the lines that move. But I think the car had to be equipped with a module that it needed. I'm not sure if this model is a 2015, if it has that module or not. I could be wrong. If you guys have done this and you've seen this and you think you guys know where it is, let me know. But the way I have it set up right now, it works. You put it in reverse, you can go in, do all your settings and everything, so I'm really happy with that. Let's go on. I'm jumping ahead of myself before we're done. So we have this LCD in and out. Now the LCD in is where you're gonna put this kind of like a patch cable from the LCD in from the unit, and this is going to go to the entertainment system infotainment system, main system here. And then from there, you're gonna put the LCD out. That still goes to the actual monitor there. So we have all those set up. So this will be like one of the last things we hook up and we plug in with everything else, with our big harness here. We've got our cabling, all these cables, and we'll have to shove all these in. But I already connected the remote. All I did was pass it through the side here, and I kind of just let it hang for now, until I find a good place that I want to mount it. You can also, I don't think I'm going to put this in. This is also another way. It's a button to switch between the AV inputs. I'm not using any of the AV inputs, so I really don't want to add any more wires in there that we need. But let's say you're going to run a rare entertainment center, rare entertainment screens or AV screens in the back. You could use this to switch between the AVs on this to show whatever. If you want to add like a DVD player or some sort of other video player onto this, then this will switch between the two and your regular screen. All right, guys, let me see if I can get this all plugged in. Actually, let's see if I can do it while you guys are looking. I'm gonna try to hold you here. Now, it's pretty straightforward. Let me pull this out. So this, and it's labeled on top here. You see remote, power, you know, AV in and out. So we're gonna hook our power up first, plug that in. Our AV plugs go right here. Done. Let's just make sure that's clipped in. There we go. Now it's clipped in good. And then what we're gonna do is just make sure everything is good. Also, you got to make sure the dip switches on the back are set up correctly. For the most part, you just need the DIN switch, or whatever you want to call these switches on the back. You want number 1 and number 7 need to be on. On is down, off is up. I also turned off 3 and 4 because we're not using any of these AVs, but for the most part everything else can stay off, and then you just need to turn on 1 and 7 and everything else will be off. But because I'm not using these other AV inputs, we're gonna leave those on the off position. Or, well, here it's showing on, but it's weird how they have it. So that's how, these are my settings right now, in case you guys wanted to see. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna stuff that all the way in back there. If you put your hands in, there is a pretty big area where this can sit and live for now. And then what we will do is put the main unit in, connect those all up, and then we'll test it just to make sure everything is working correctly before we fully button everything up. Whew. All right, guys, so if you can see, I know it's gonna be a little difficult. I have it like all the way in there and I pushed it down, so it actually ends up like somewhere down over here. It can fit, it's big, you're gonna have to take your time, but it'll work. Now you have all this room to get the actual system back in there, which if you got this far, you're almost home free. You just need to get all these connections back in and then slide this in, and that'll clip. And then what we'll do is I'll show you guys how I got this bottom one out. So while doing this, it's not easy. So we got that in. This one's gonna go here. That's coming from the actual unit from there's your antenna. Now what is left? This yellow one. There we go. And now we of just this big cam. Pull this up a little bit. Have a little more room. All right, guys, so as you can see, we got it all in. We popped those two connectors, which were giving me a hard time. Now we pushed it far enough down that when we push this in, it doesn't interfere with it. So we're just gonna have to push in, and then that's it. It locks, and we're good to go. Now, just so we can go over, I mean, you might not need to do this. I mean, I pulled it out just so, and you can see the bottom of the unit, like right here too. But I pulled it out so I could run the other wires. As you can see, it's just these clips here. There's 4 of them on each side, and there's a 4 plugs on the back here, just so you guys can see what it looks like. And you can get that out of the way so that you can get it in. It's a pain to get out. I mean, I did a lot of prying on it, and the first time is always a pain. So now we should be able to just push. It should just lock into place, and then we're good to go. Awesome. Put it in park. All right, let's try this out, and hopefully everything works now. We're gonna start the car. Oh my God, everything's on from all the touching. Let's turn the radio on. Turn the volume down there. Now when we put it into reverse, voila, we've got our reverse camera on. Now you can adjust these lines, or if you don't like the lines, you could take it off in the settings. I'll show you. You see all the garbage I have on the back of my garage there. But let's put this back into park. Voila. Turn the car off. Awesome. That's great. Now, like I was telling you before, the system comes with this little remote. So what I'm going to do now is just show you how it works. I'm just going to put the ignition on, and then what we're going to do is I'm going to point it at the bottom here to switch the inputs. All right, but you see we have nothing plugged into AV1. And then we're going to hold to the left for 2 seconds, and it brings you to the settings page. Now, this is where you're going to set the different parameters that you want, like I was telling you. So pass type, if you click on that, pass off is with the lines, but they're not dynamic. If you move it to the side, if you press down, it says pass on. That's the dynamic lines if that was working. And then you could do not use and have no lines at all. So we're going to put it back to pass off, and then we're going to click on menu, and then we're going to go down, and then this is the setup. So now you can adjust the lines to wherever you want it. H position is left and right, so if you press up and down, it changes, it'll go left and right for you. Where were we at? But we're gonna have to adjust this, it's not exact. And then you can go back, click menu again, which will bring you back. I think I got out of it completely. There we go. And then you could do, this is where I was telling you guys that I forgot to do this. If you click on rear type, you see how it says lamp. That means you're getting that trigger from the reverse lights to turn the reverse camera on. If you press down, it'll turn to can. That's where your can high and low, if you had that set up, but we don't. we're using lamp, so we'll leave it as lamp. Click OK. Safe enable, that's if you had, like, if you wanted video in motion to be turned off when you're driving, so you couldn't mess with it while you're driving. I know a lot of people disable that, but we don't have that, so that's fine. And then you have like different utilities, Navi model, car model, all this stuff that you can go into and change, which is cool. And you could also do a lot of different things here. But I think that's gonna pretty much wrap it up. I'm gonna click the OK button. Let's click the menu button to get out. And then we'll click OK, and it switches back to our normal screen. And that's it, guys. I mean, it's a pretty simple install. The hardest part is that you got to get your ACC and your ground for the unit, which we got from the cigarette lighter. I didn't really show that because that was already done from the dealership when they did the original reverse camera that screwed up, or that we ended up switching out, which I wasn't happy with what they did. But you know, I showed you guys how to get to it. You run through here, this pops up, you can get through underneath here. I'm sure you can find some things to get this all out so you can get to it. But that pretty much wraps this up. It was a little bit of a pain getting the parts out because it's a new car, and you know, whenever you those first time taking those clips out and how tight it is, you have to be really careful. I'm trying to see what else that needs to get done. Wait a minute, before I finish, let me show you how we set it up in the back. Alright guys, so we're in the back of the car. This is one part that we missed out. Now if you remove this side panel here, turn it, pop this out. This is where we got our ground and where we got the reverse camera light, light set to be our trigger wire. So this is our ground. Actually this is the trigger. So the trigger is going into this harness here, and it's the, sorry, I got like a whole bunch of stuff here. So our ground, I just grounded it to the chassis here, and let me just make sure I got this right. Let me get some light in here. So we're getting the reverse signal from this black and blue stripe wire that's going into that brown harness right there. Just make sure it's clipped in good, and we just tap that, and that's what's giving us our signal. Alright guys, I think that's a wrap for today's video of how to do the reverse, or how we did the reverse camera using Emerald Mobile Integrations reverse / multimedia add-on for your 2015 Audi Q3. I think this is a 8U is the model, with your MMI system. This car does have standard navigation. I believe you need to have the standard navigation for this to work. You can always reach out to them. One of the guys that I was talking to over there, his name's Alex. He does like kind of, I guess, the help desk stuff or the tech stuff for troubleshooting. But if you go on there, they have a chat. I think they're on the West Coast, so they're from Cali, so you got to make sure your timing is right. But if you go to the chat, you can talk to them, tell them what you want to do, what you're trying to get done. They were really responsive. They gave me a lot of information. All the questions I had, they answered, which was really good. I'll put all the information in the description below. Remember guys, follow me on Instagram, Twitter at Project Z Garage, and we will catch you in the next video. Peace.